changed quite a lot for me during the whole COVID period, where I've been very fortunate enough to, as you see already, 2 people I'm working closely with Fiona and Adrian, and Emma is later going to speak on the cleaner standards. And I feel really privileged that over that last 18 months, I was kind of deep in COVID, in an acute community and mental health setting in Somerset. And my goodness me, that's been some time, hasn't it? And what we've learnt, and you're right, Michael, I think, we will be able to look back and think those experiences, we hope, will stay with us for a long time, but also will help us grow quickly, and will help the people coming into the NHS to help them mature as quickly as possible. I think, being now in the central team has certainly given me, first of all, from the review process into the central team, a wider understanding of political decision making, which we're already seeing on reports this morning is certainly an up and down journey. Now they're starting to look back on decisions being made, but also around governance and accountability. And there's lots of people that I've already spoken to in the room this morning, and you have that day in, day out, how you're having to manage those risks. So really privileged to share with you around the food review, which was obviously launched in October last year, but because of the situation, we relaunched in April. And we have this 3-year program of the Great Food, Good Health. The call for a root and branch review of food served and sold in hospitals gave us the opportunity to widen that scope. There's a number of people in the room today that I'll talk a little bit about later, and they are helping us to widen the remit around safety, around nutrition, the quality of food, not just for patients, but for staff and visitors in our NHS hospitals. So always good to remind where we are and what we're trying to do. And right from the start of the review process, it's been very important for me to involve everybody that actually lives and breathes healthcare catering. They're the ones that influence the report, and they're the ones that are going to influence the way forward. So not just colleagues, but associations. And something that's been a real proud movement forward for both Emma and I is that power partnership and the way that we work closely with our FM providers and our food and equipment suppliers. There needs to be a wider involvement if we can ensure that we have the analysis to shape the way forward. Sometimes we're kind of a little bit keep it within and don't share it. If we want to improve healthcare catering, we need to share everything that we know so we have the same starting place. I'll always be indebted to those that opened the doors through those challenging times to allow us to have the site visits on the review and the panel, of course, who gave up their time, for those trusts that allowed the panel members to be part of the process, and those others who suddenly said, I've got a view, I've got an opinion, I've got something that I think will help shape the way. And I hope that we spent plenty of time listening and absorbing. It's also critical that we educate the public, and we've seen that through different areas of EFM through COVID. But we often talk about allergies and dysphagia and empowering recovery. It's a day in, day out for us. But for the public, they probably won't understand. So we need to help them, and we need to take the public with us to help them understand that it is step by step. So even though, first of all, I kind of had 50 recommendations in my mind, I was soon told to go back and sit in the corner. And we had 8 recommendations. They're fully supported by the PM and the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care. But what we have found out is that these recommendations need to have a solid base by having a full and a whole hospital approach. And if you have that, if you want to be brave, if you want to be innovative, then it's far easier knowing you have the board on side. We're asking teams to measure their current position, to gauge and plan their progress. And those catering teams, if they're doing that, they need to understand they have their EFM director, they've got their chief exec and their chief nurse with them. Part of the recommendations and the conversations with trusts are to help them understand their current position. So now the teams, that some of them are here today, are sending out, first of all, the review to say, this is where we're aiming to be, but also a gap analysis to say, this is not a test. This is a chance to look at where you are, flag up any concerns with board level, risk assess it and advise accordingly. You need to understand your position before you move forward. One of the concerns for any review and any report is that it gets launched with a fanfare and nothing else happens. And Emma and I have been very clear that this will be very different. We have the 3-year plan. We have that final recommendation of going forward, where we have an expert group that will help us push out, bit by bit, things that we feel are ready for moving forward. And that expert group is now up and running. We've got 14 amazing individuals that have got a passion and an inspiration to actually bring colleagues forward with their topic. Of course, we've based it on the power of 3, where in a trust setting, we understand that a caterer, a clinician, and a dietitian must be working as one. As expected, everybody wants to have their say when it comes to directional change. During and after the review, it's been vital to spend a large proportion of time listening and absorbing the variance of views. And I think this has not only enabled us to write a report with depth and purpose, but it's helped us understand that one size does not fit all. And I hope that we will maintain a partnership with everybody, having a voice all the way through this program. The expert group, as that 14, have split into pairs to co-chair subgroups. And that, again, opens the door to others to enable them to be part of the conversation. Adrian has already shared about the way we should be promoting our caterers, and particularly our chefs. We often say that when you come through catering college, the last thing you think about is going to a public sector. And yet, my goodness me, how much have we got to offer? Now colleges are starting to talk about nutrition and the validity of food in our health and our well-being. In July, we launched NHS Chef 2021. Regional competitions took place throughout August and September. This has been a fantastic opportunity to showcase their expertise, their commitment, which of course has been particularly significant in recent months. Last week, we held a mentoring event for the 7 teams of finalists. It's not often that our chefs get released for a few days into a sort of a conference or development situation. But they had that chance to secure some of their development, share their skills, and we introduced them to the challenges in other hospitals and regions. These chefs will now attend the national finals at the end of October. What Adrian didn't share with you is that he won the omelette challenge. which he's very proud. We've got that video footage to remind him. The other two looked like a banana milkshake when they were put on the plate, so it didn't take a lot to win it, but let's not take the moment from him. But what we did see through those challenges is the fantastic commitment from our healthcare teams and from our healthcare suppliers. And we just can't do these sort of innovations without them. Our vision is to drive exemplary in all areas. We need to support those that need direction. We need to help them prove that anything is possible. All of us involved in the service of food understand the key role that we play in our society. The last 18 months has woken the public's awareness up to what we do, how we do it, and what we require if we are to drive standards to a level that we can be proud of. I've met a number of managers and caterers in the NHS. They're natural innovators, and we don't often think that in the public sector. They're already driving change in their hospitals and their trusts, and above all, they show fantastic leadership. This needs to be shared and promoted. We need data to drive decision-making. Same-day ordering for patients, where possible, should always be the aim. We need to understand what our staff require in retail and our vending if we need to be 24/7. We're going to move on from the debate of food waste to actually do something about it. And we need to strengthen the power partnership where possible to ensure that we have that dynamic collaboration. So leading change in any sector is, of course, stimulating. The public sector is often described as immovable. So for me, this is the ultimate challenge. We need to open our eyes to the quality of food being produced, the openness from our teams, and the need of repair and replacement of our equipment. What we have experienced throughout the NHS is pride and loyalty. And having our exemplar trust will enable us to work closely with our colleagues so we can test, we can pilot, we can discuss our choices and our options. It's important to strengthen the core of the review progress. And with our exemplars, we can maintain a live picture of the pressures and the challenges. We know that major transformation costs money, but I've always believed the biggest change in the NHS is around culture and our behaviour. The NHS endeavours to provide a platform for assurance. What we must also do is use this platform as a springboard. Springboard for change, and change that will make a difference for all of us. It's difficult to quantify success. I've always believed that what we could achieve is immeasurable. If we have the appropriate skill mix with suitable investment of time and finance, then our possibilities are outstanding. Our efforts towards the net zero deliverables covers a number of initiatives: seasonal menu planning, meal times and assisted meal times that matter, our food waste management. We've also supported a number of schemes through partnership. You've got the Chef's Academy, where Nick Vardis and Supply Chain have initiated tremendous options like the Root Kitchen concept, bringing to life many plant-based options that can be used initially through staff and visitor catering. And although there has been continual pressure across both clinical and support teams, there is a constructive desire from all colleagues to have a quality choice in retail areas, celebrating success when appropriate, promote quality fresh food, and where possible, buy regional, buy British, link with our local farmers and producers, as well as understanding the regional strengths. Introduce changes in our menus to stimulate engagement. Use technology to amplify the choice available, as well as identifying allergy and nutritional information. So it's time to look in the mirror, work closely with our allies within the hospital setting, listen to the advice from our external experts in their fields before making important decisions. We have critical colleagues, and they have a channel to share their concerns and their ideas to ensure inclusion. What we currently have is an alignment of energies to ensure that the National Food Strategy, our NHS food standards that are on the shelf and ready to be launched, our government buying standards in the next few months, that all these are linked through the hospital food review. And it isn't commonplace to have this opportunity, but there is a willingness to ensure that we have a clarity in our direction of travel. This review is driven by the NHS, from within the NHS, not from the outside. So strong but compassionate leadership with an ability to understand what equipment needs replacing. Is your food service model appropriate, or does it need changing? Our communication with our patients is vital as we use the incentive to drive real change. Change that will affect us all, whether we are procurers, producers, managers, caterers, or importantly, those receiving our care. Thank you.